So I know there's a lot of confusion about who I am and how I've even got here in this position to be able to teach, people how to grow on the YouTube platform. How I've been able to spawn so many of these channels that have been successful in so many different niches and so many different areas of YouTube, and even people who just watch my free YouTube stuff on how to grow on YouTube and how to make money on YouTube. It's confusing as to how I came about this knowledge. So I kind of wanted to break down exactly how I personally took over the political commentary niche on YouTube, or just the political niche on YouTube in general. And it's crazy because I've not just taken over the right wing space, which is where people kind of know me from, is more on the Republican right wing side of things. I've also taken over the left wing space. I'm going to break down how I did all of that. And it starts back in, I think, about like 2018 is when I really started pushing YouTube extremely hard. I was actually working a job, an IT job that my dad got me. And I would go to this job every single day and I would get some work done for sure, but I was definitely, a bit of a slacker at this job. And I would go there and I would basically just spend the entire time researching YouTube videos and scripting out YouTube videos. And I was making 2 videos a day while working this job. Back then I was doing Star Wars videos, and I was actually doing Star Wars lore videos. That's the niche that I was in. And I would go and I would research and I would script out every single word that I would say in the video. And I was doing 2 videos a day. These videos were extremely difficult to make, extremely time consuming. I was working all day at this job on this YouTube channel, going home and then making the videos. And it took me like all of my free time to make these videos. And I would post them and they'd get at most 500 views. And so it was just like a punch in the face every single day, but I was grinding. It felt good. It always feels good when you're trying to grind, when you're, investing in yourself, whether that's money, time, energy, whatever. It feels good, right? But I still wanted to see some growth. I remember one time I posted this one video and it was more of like a news type video versus a lore video. It was like talking about some current event that was happening, and the video just blew up. And it took me like 20 minutes to make the video versus like 2 or 3 hours that it took me to make the other style of videos. And I was like, hold on, this is crazy. It took me barely any time to make this video and it blew up. And so I kept doing that over and over again, and it kept blowing up, it kept blowing up, it kept blowing up. And I realized that people really liked controversy and news and drama a whole lot more than they like just about anything else. And it's also really easy to cultivate this controversy and drama, and it's way easier to make the videos on this stuff. So I was like, I think I have something here. So I just really leaned into the Star Wars news and drama and things like that. And debates, stuff, disagreements, anything that has like some polarity to it is what I was making videos on, and it blew up. The channel really blew up. That channel was called Justin is Lost. It's actually still called Justin is Lost, but that channel eventually evolved because I kind of really lost interest in Star Wars, and it kind of just died out, to be honest. Like, nobody really cares too much about it anymore. So the video stopped getting views as much, and I just kind of moved on. And I caught onto the Bud Light drama. Actually, first off, let's go back a little bit. I caught onto the Eliza Blue drama. I don't know if anybody here watching this would remember the Eliza Blue stuff, but Eliza Blue was basically this person who was basically a grifting off right-wingers and going on all these podcasts like Tim Pool's podcast and all these shows, right? I think she went on Zuby's podcast and maybe Michael Malice's podcast. I can't remember all the podcasts she went on, but I remember she was grifting off right-wingers, collecting money from all these right-wingers, and it just came out that she was basically like a video vixen before, and basically just like a P-star, almost, borderline P-star. And it was all this drama happening, and I was just covering all the drama, and so I kind of got roped in with right-wing YouTube because she was a right-wing grifter. And I kind of just leaned into that, right? I caught the Eliza Blue stuff, and this was after I like kind of semi-retired from YouTube. One of my friends, shout out to Matt if you're watching this, one of my friends convinced me to come back and make a video on the Eliza Blue stuff. It absolutely took off, and that's how I kind of got into the right-wing side of YouTube. And then the Bud Light situation happened right after that. I caught onto that story, and I just covered that every single day, multiple times a day. And I realized people absolutely love this, especially when there's some sort of continuity to it, right? With the Bud Light story, the Eliza Blue story, there's an update every single day. It's not just like I'm posting a debate on Tim Pool, or a Tim Pool debate, and then the next day I post another Tim Pool debate. It might not be an update necessarily. It's just 2 separate debates that I'm posting videos on because people are liking Tim Pool on my channel versus this Eliza Blue story that has an update every day, or the Bud Light controversy that has an update every day. You know, the CEO is making statements, the stock is dropping, and things like that. So I can make updates on it, and people loved that. They absolutely loved that, and I realized that. I picked up on it pretty quickly, and that really blew my channel up. And that Bud Light story is what got me to my first 10K month. I'll never forget that. Shout out to Bud Light, man. That was an amazing time for me, and I really thought 10K. I thought I was the king of the world when I hit 10K a month. And, you know, now obviously I say it all the time, but a 10K a month would be a disaster for me now. So it's crazy how when your perspective changes, the results change as well. And, you know, not to get too coachy in this video, but the best way, in my opinion, to have your perspective changed is just by getting around the right people, no matter what it takes, whether you have to invest money, you have to go do free work for them, whatever. But I promise you, if you're around, if you live with 5 Navy SEALs, you'll probably become the 6th Navy SEAL, or you'll probably at least get in pretty damn good shape, right? So, caught on to the Bud Light story, and you know, people started asking me here and there, how am I doing it? Like, how am I growing so quickly? They started to take notice of me, right? My name started to hold some weight in that space. People started to take me seriously. People were reaching out to me to do collabs and stuff like that, you know, and I'll talk more about that later. But I would normally just shoot down all the collab ideas because I had such bad experiences collabing with people and getting stabbed in the back so many times that I was just like, nah, I'm just going to stick to myself. You know, I had my little group of friends, and that's it. You know, I didn't really collab with many other people. So the Bud Light story kind of started to die out. And then I kind of just transitioned to like general political debates and, you know, just covering drama and news, but now primarily focused around the political stuff and the right-wing stuff, with a right-wing spin, I should say. And then the movie Sound of Freedom came out. And Sound of Freedom was massive for so many YouTube channels. It was massive for so many YouTube channels, including mine. So when that movie came out, there was obviously so much drama, right? There were so many people claiming that movie theaters were trying to not let people see it. People were coming out and criticizing the movie for, you know, having, I don't even remember why, like having a Christian message or something like that. And, you know, the actors were coming out and they were speaking in favor of the movie and against all the criticism and all of this stuff. And I was covering that, and it was getting me crazy views, like crazy. Now, the problem is I didn't realize how quickly my channel was growing and how much influence I actually had on that channel back then. I kind of had little man syndrome where I thought I could just say whatever I wanted and nobody would really know because I'm too small for anyone to take note. And so there was this guy who was not a convicted PDF file, but he had some allegations against him that seemed pretty strong. And he was criticizing the Sound of Freedom movie. And he also works for a large publication. I forgot which one it was, maybe CNN. And I accidentally called him an actual PDF file in the YouTube video. Obviously, somebody saw this YouTube video. They went and took it down for harassment or bullying or whatever. And it actually got my entire channel banned. I didn't have a single strike. I didn't have a single warning. I was fully monetized. There was no issues with that channel. And then this one video where I said something, you know, basically exposing a PDF file, and they took my whole channel down. My whole thing, the entire thing. Like I said, I was on top of the world. I was making 10K a month. They actually held $10,000 from me for that month that I got banned. Just completely wiped out with no warning, nothing. I appealed it. I actually had Lauren Chen. If you guys know Lauren Chen, shout out to Lauren Chen, man. Like, she really did try to help me. She reached out to her personal YouTube rep and, you know, tried to help me get unbanned that way. It just didn't work. Somebody at YouTube made that call. Somebody wanted to take me out, and, you know, I did end up getting that channel unbanned a while later. It's unbanned now, and I'm making content on it, but it's hard to get it to get views because it sat dormant for an entire year. I appealed it. The appeal got denied, but every 12 months you can reappeal. And I just said, I'll just try to reappeal. Why not? And it actually got accepted, and I got the channel unbanned. But that was devastating at the time. You know, it was really devastating to have that channel ripped from me because that was my baby. I worked so hard to build that channel up. Not to mention, you know, I've been trying to do YouTube since I was probably 12 years old, legitimately, making Call of Duty commentary videos. And I was actually in a group chat with me. There was me, this guy named T-Bets, this guy named Biblical Reaper, who I think might be still around. Maybe he has a different name now. But Sneeko was the fourth one. So if you guys know Sneeko, that's a funny story how, we were connected way back then. And I was making Call of Duty commentary videos with Sneeko, with T-Bets, with Biblical Reaper. And, to finally have that dream come true where I'm making a full-time living from the YouTube platform and then have it ripped away from me with no warning, no strike, nothing, just completely gone. It was devastating. But I'm not the type of person that is able to just like mope around and wallow in sadness and cry and all this stuff. So next day, I started a new YouTube channel. The original one was called Justin is Lost. This new one was called Justin Reloaded. And when I got banned, they had a lot of people talking shit about me. Okay? People from Geeks and Gamers and all those people, they were talking a lot of shit about me because they knew I had no platform to respond, so they could say whatever they wanted about me. And I took that personally. I wrote it down on my phone and I said, I'm going to prove all these people wrong. More importantly than proving them wrong, I'm just going to pass them all up. I'm going to make way more money than them. I'm going to get way more views than them. And so I started the Justin Reloaded YouTube channel. And I took that channel from 0 to 10,000 subscribers in 2 weeks, fully monetized in a week, or maybe it was 2 weeks. I can't remember when I actually got accepted for monetization. But that channel had a video get 1.2 million views in the very first week of the channel's creation. And nobody else is really doing stuff like that. I remember it was a Jason Aldean Try That in a Small Town video, talking about that whole drama that happened with that song, and it got 1.2 million views. I think it's at 2.2 million now, and obviously the channel got monetized 0 to 10K subs in 2 weeks, and at that point, that's when people started to say, hold on, this kid has something here. Like, you don't just get banned and start a new channel and do it all again that quickly if you don't know a little bit about what you're doing. So that's when people started to reach out to me. That's when the big names started to reach out to me, the Justin Wallers and things like that. And then people emailing me constantly saying like, can I pay you to have you tell me how you did this? And I was like, there's no way people would actually pay me for that, right? But it makes sense. Like I said, I've been doing YouTube since I was 12, 13 years old. So it's taken me like 10 years to figure this shit out. Why wouldn't you pay somebody to skip 10 years, to time travel 10 years into the future today? I can give you all that information in a day. So why wouldn't you pay for it? And once I realized that, I was like, let me try that out. So I started to charge people. They started to get really good results with the stuff that I was telling them. And I was like, okay, this might be, something that I should pursue because I enjoy helping people. These people obviously enjoy the results that they get. So I kind of put a pause on the Justin Reloaded channel for a little while and I went all in on the coaching business. And it did really, really well. But I just had that itch to get back into it. I was like, I got that itch. I want to grow my own YouTube channel still. So I think it was New Year's Eve of 2023. So going into 2024, right? December 31st of 2023 is when I started posting daily on the Justin Reloaded channel, I believe. And I mean, within a year, the channel hit 100,000 subscribers. It was making crazy money. I think the biggest month we had was like 26K in a month. And it was very shortly after I started posting every single day. That run that I went on a crazy run with that channel. I remember there was a time period of like 4 or 5 weeks where it didn't matter what I posted. It was getting like 500K to 1 million views. Every single day, I was posting 2 videos that were getting 500K to 1 million views. It was the craziest shit, dude. It was the craziest time period. And obviously that didn't last forever, right? I don't have the Midas touch like that. But the channel made really good money until I sold it, until I recently sold it. Now, like I said, people are reaching out to me this entire time wondering like, how are you doing this? Can I please pay you to show me how to do this? And so the coaching business was also doing really well. And when I say really well, I mean the client results that I'm getting. Naturally, a lot of the people who are coming to me asking for help are people who are wanting to get into the politics niche because they know me from politics, right? They know me from Justin is Lost. They know me from Justin Reloaded. They know me from doing collabs with other YouTubers that their favorite YouTubers. So I ended up helping a lot of people get into politics. And now, if you look around the political space, I kind of created this new niche where, even David Pakman talks about it. He called it a cottage industry forming. And it's an industry that I formed. I started this, and I'm very confident in saying that, where you basically just take debates and you take other people's content that's already going viral, you put your own little commentary on it, you put your own spin on it, it gets a bunch of views for you because you transform the video with your own commentary. You collect the money from this video that was already proven to go viral previously. Now, I take it a step further because I'm taking these videos from people who aren't as good at packaging their videos as I am. So I take their videos that went viral with shitty packaging, I put my thumbnail artist on it, I put my titles on it, I put my packaging on it, and then my commentary on it, and it goes even more viral, and I make the money from it. People weren't really doing that before I started doing that, at least with the same tact that I'm using now. And now a lot of people are doing it. If you look around the political space, you have people like Lou Valentino, who's been through my program. You got people like The Apostle, Yesterday's News. And then you look on the left-wing side of things, you got Chris on Culture, Progressive Perspective. These are all my clients. These are all people who I showed them the way, right? And then they have the Justin Reloaded channel, which I built from the ground up, which I just told you about. I sold that channel to somebody else who's now running it. And, the Justin is Lost channel is still up. It might be called Bring the Asteroid now. We got Bring the Asteroid News. We got That Girl Casey. We got so many channels out there, man, that have been either mine or my clients. If you look around the political space, everybody that's faceless has come from me. Like everybody. And I'm confident in saying that. Anybody who's successful with it. And, now I actually have left-wing channels of my own that I'm going to keep private because I don't want people to know which left-wing channels are mine, because then people would probably get pretty mad that watch those videos. But it's absolutely hilarious because I'm friends with all of these people who make left-wing content, who make right-wing content. And so we're kind of like controlling the narrative of the United States of America. It's the most hilarious thing ever because a lot of these left-wing channels, they're not even actual left-wingers. I'm not going to say which ones they are, but they're not even really left-wingers. They're just making money off these idiot lefties. It's the funniest thing ever. And so we're like controlling the narrative of U.S. politics in a way. Obviously there's larger channels than us with more influence, like the Tim Pools on the right wing and Patrick Bet-David on the right wing. And then there's David Pakman and Brian Tyler Cohen on the left that probably have more pull and more influence than me. But to an extent, we are controlling the narrative of the United States political space. And it's hilarious because everybody's just out there trying to make money and get views, and these idiots are just eating these videos up on the left. And, I'll never say anything on any of my channels that I don't actually believe. So I'm being genuine in my content. But it's funny because the left wingers are just not being genuine at all most of the time. And, but it's a really cool feeling to sit back and kind of just like look at what I've created. I never really do things like that. I don't like to sound like I'm being arrogant or bragging or anything like that, but it is just the objective truth that I did create this industry on YouTube, and it feels good to acknowledge that. And it's just, it just is the truth. And it's pretty cool. It's cool to be able to change so many people's lives. Whenever Chris shows me that he made $10,000 last month and he was on vacation for 3 weeks out of the 4, it's like, it's an amazing feeling. Or I see like The Apostle, whose name's Aaron, who's just crushing it on YouTube, man. Just absolutely crushing it. And then Yesterday's News, Matt, and so many others. There's so many others who are just crushing it with these strategies that I showed them. And it's the best feeling in the world, dude. Like, it's great to have money coming in from my own channels. And it's great to say, the story of me going from Justin is Lost, making Star Wars lore videos, all the way to, basically running the political commentary space. It's great, but the greatest part is the fact that I'm able to change these people's lives, and that will never get old. That will literally never get old. So that's kind of the story of how I took over the political commentary space. Once I realized that people care way more about drama and news and debates and conflict and polarity than anything else, it was pretty simple what I had to do next. And once I realized that all you had to do was add some commentary, I don't even have to show my face. That means I don't have to turn the lights on. I don't have to turn the camera on. I don't have to make sure my hair looks good. I can just roll out of bed, press record on Streamlabs, and I can talk over these videos and make money. Man, I'm gonna do that all day. I'm gonna do that all day. So, now we have this space kind of in a chokehold where nobody else can really break in. If you're not part of Creator Cartel, like if you're not in my program, you're not breaking into the space because we have this shit on lock. Like we have these tactics, we have these strategies on lock. And you can try to imitate it all you want. You can sit there and try to imitate it, but if you don't have the actual sauce, if you don't know why we're doing the things that we do, you'll never be able to compete because you'll always be one step behind. You can try to copy it, you can try to imitate it, but if you're not the original, if you don't know how to think like us, you're always going to be one step behind. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully this gave you some more insight as to like what's going on here, like who I am and how I got to the point that I'm at right now. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything else you'd like me to cover in regards to this story about how I went from where I was to being, running the political commentary space and running the political space on YouTube, left wing and right wing, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions or maybe make a part 2 answering questions about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video about how I came to kind of run the political commentary space on YouTube. And, if you want to book a call to become part of this program, which by the way has spawned channels that are successful in all type of different niches. It's not just a political niche. If you want to be a part of this program, which, if you want to make money on YouTube, there's no reason for you to not be a part of this program. Then go ahead and book a call with the top link in the description. You'll hop on a call with my team and we'll just find out if you're a good fit for the program or not. If you're not, we'll just point you in the right direction. If you are, we'll go ahead and get you started ASAP. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do want to go ahead and book that call, that'll be the top link in the description. Other than that though, I'll see you on the next video. Peace.